All right, and first off, just what made you decide to run for city council?
It was really it was seeing what was going on in the city, and had some interactions, and it just kind of pushed me towards seeing what I can do to make things better.
All right, so if you are to win office, what are some of the first things you want to tackle, or what are you think the biggest issues that the city council needs to take on?
I think that it's public safety, homelessness, and then really need to start looking at our housing situation too.
Those three, what do you think is, I guess, the most important to try to address first?
I think it kind of comes down to the homelessness and public safety aspect of it, making sure that we have some place where people can work freely and be able to do business. I'm afraid that if we don't get those two under control, we're going to start getting smaller as a community. We're not going to have as many businesses around.
All right, and you said homelessness and public safety, that's the real big one. I guess, what are some of the tangible things that you want to see done, or some ideas you have to address that when it comes to, actual policy or actual ordinances?
Right. So it looks like more mental health, more rehabilitation facilities, and really working towards having some sort of like a continuum of care after we get people placed, or they start making that road to recovery, but just really being able to check up and have some accountability with them as they go through the process, and giving them the tools to be successful once they do get off the street.
So to boil it down, you really want more resources to help people get out of homelessness.
Yes, we need the resources to be able to fix the problem that we have now, and then go from the future. I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but we got to start someplace, and I think that would be a great spot to start.
All right, and then the other thing you talked about was, of course, it kind of has to do with homelessness, but is the housing crisis. The housing market's been meteoric for over a year now. I guess, what do you want to do there to address that issue?
I really want to get down and make sure that our regulations are, of this century. Look at the permitting process. We need to look at zoning. I think those are two easy ones to start with. And then really getting creative in what we can do. We've been following centers and corridors for 20, 30 years, something like that. And we don't really have anything to show for it. So it's time to go back and really work on policy that's going to work for the city.
And you have received quite a bit of money from realtor groups. I guess, how much of an influence have they been on your, policy ideas or what you want to see done when it comes to housing?
So when I went into those interviews, I was just speaking as me, and our views aligned, and that's why they are doing the independent expenditures on my behalf. I have nothing to do with them. They're IEs. I can't talk to them. I have no idea what they're doing or what they're spending the money on until I see it on the PDC.
All right, and then I guess, if, let's say, I'm an undecided voter in your district, and you had, let's say, 20 to 30 seconds to sell me on why I should vote for you, what would you say to them?
I'm a father. I'm a husband. I've been running a family business here in town. I'm that guy in the neighborhood that's fed up with what's going on and can see that we have problems, and that's willing to jump in there and do something about it. And I don't think you need a Ivy League education to see what's going on right now in our city.
All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that you want to focus on. I know you talked about your big three, but I guess any other concerns or areas of policy and city politics that you want to kind of take head on if you win office?
Yeah. So I guess part of that too is I'm not coming at this with any ideological, this is the way we got to do things. It's really here to work with people to find the best solutions for Spokane. And I think that's something that we've lost at the city level, is we don't have that balance, and we don't have that willingness to work together. I mean, we see it in the newspaper all the time. That has to be the first thing anybody that gets on city council has to do, is bring people together. another big policy piece would be making sure that we're watching out for small businesses as we come out of COVID. It's been a rough couple of years.
All right, and I guess, do you have any ideas or plans on how you would help businesses now that we're kind of hopefully starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel and we have seen some businesses close down, some start up during the pandemic?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, so we're going to have some monies coming into the city. I would like to see if we can use some of that to help help some of these small businesses that are struggling and continue to struggle. If we can do some sort of like the PPP or, something like that to help them. But we could also really look at what we do as a city regulation wise too. Some of those little things add up over the process of a year. If we could cut some of those regulations, then maybe these businesses would have a little bit more in their pocket to get through to the next year.
All right, and you brought up, homelessness and public safety and its effect on businesses, especially I think downtown's been a big focus. As a business owner yourself, have you had conversation with your fellow business owners, and what have they told you about those problems?
Yes, I've had lots of conversations with other business people in town, even just in the few blocks around our restaurant. It's tough. I mean, we're all doing the best we can to keep our employees safe, to keep our customers safe, and keep our properties clean. And it's been a tough grind the last 2 years. It's gotten to the point where people are losing employees because they don't feel comfortable coming to that part of town to work, and they're taking jobs in the valley or Post Falls. I mean, that's not good for our local economy either if we're pushing workers out of the city because they don't feel safe.
All right, and one big part of being on city council is working with Mayor Woodward, and she seems to have some of the same platform ideas as you. What do you have any plans on how to work with her or any collaboration? I know you maybe haven't spoke with her since you haven't won office yet, but is that something that you have plans for down the road?
I'm coming into this with, I have to be able to talk and work with anybody that I come across. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my best to make sure that I'm working with everybody and really being able to listen.
All right, and so we talked about quite a bit. We talked about public safety, homelessness, housing, business. Would you say those are the 3 or 4 main things that I guess spurred you on to run, that you want to make kind of your platform if you do win office?
Yes. I mean, those are even from the voters. I mean, this is what everybody in town is concerned about right now, or at least in my district.
I mean, I guess how long is this kind of a newer idea that you had? I know obviously you had to go through the primary, so you've had this on your mind for a while, but we talked earlier about what made you want to run. I guess how long have you been thinking about running for public office?
Let's see, it's almost the end of October, approximately a year. And I went from never thinking about doing this to about a year ago, just decided that this is what I had to do. And here I am.
And have you ever ran or held public office before? Or is this, your first shot at it?
No, I haven't even held office in high school ASB. I mean, this is really far out of my wheelhouse, but here I am.
All right, and just real quick, one last thing. I want to talk a little bit more about business. Especially, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and we do have those federal funds coming in. I guess just how important is it to assist those to, I guess, keep more businesses here, but also grow businesses and attract people here from, we've had a lot of growth from Seattle companies moving here. How important is it to continue that on top of keeping the businesses we already have?
I think that's very important. I mean, that is the basis of our economy here. We're a small business town. I mean, everybody knows someone that has a small business here in Spokane, if they don't have 2 small businesses. Pulling other larger companies is good. That helps our small businesses. It gives more opportunity for people. It gives better jobs. It gives more choices where you want to work or what kind of work you want to do.
All right, and we've seen a lot of growth. Big companies, Amazon's the big headliner for both the Valley and out in the Area Heights and the West Plains. And I feel like that's where we're seeing a lot of growth, is those areas. What would you want to do, or what are some of your ideas to attract them to the city of Spokane instead of, some of the outlying areas?
This is part of that the federal money's coming in, trying to make sure that we have our infrastructure set up, that we have good water and sewer. If that's something that we'll be able to spend that money on, making sure that we have a good base infrastructure so we can grow. So we are looking forward into the future and not and actually just working towards the future. I mean, I think sometimes the policy gets passed without that forethought, and then we get stuck.
All right, then we talked about housing a bit earlier, and either changing current codes or basically finding a way to create more housing. For you, is that more high density units like apartment complexes, or is that maybe expanding zones for single family residents? What does that look like?
I really think it's a combination of all of it. I'm a big proponent of places like Kendall Yards, and the reason that place is so expensive to live in right now, which if you can live, work, and play all in the same area, I think that's a great idea, is it's exclusive. There's only one of those in Spokane. We should be looking at these great little neighborhoods with high density and spreading them throughout.
All right, well,
everything else to go along with it, with the zoning, enhancing the single family zoning and stuff like that.
All right, well, we've talked about a lot, and I think we've covered everything else, but we're a week and a day out from the election. So if you had to give one final pitch to voters, what would you say?
I'm not doing this as a career move. I'm doing this out of love for my city. I want to leave something to my children where they will want to raise their kids and grow up like I did. I mean, beautiful city, close to nature. We have so many advantages here. Let's take care of Spokane problems with Spokane solutions and work for all of the citizens of Spokane.